All right, so we are 40 something minutes into this conversation. We're going to go ahead and switch topics. This is the Low Sodium Podcast with Kris and Rob. Rob, say hi.
Hi.
And today we're going to give our thoughts on Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
finally wrapped up. Rob, I know you were expressing your disappointment with the show, a few episodes ago. How do you feel? How do you feel about it? Give me your quick your quick impressions.
So, Mike, what I what I found was that episodes 5 and 6 did an amazing job trying to encompass the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan. And
Hmm.
that's what I wanted to see. That's what I wanted it to feel because the Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005. I
Hmm.
remember seeing Revenge of the Sith right after graduation. Literally right after graduation, my friends and I, my besties and I went to see Revenge of the Sith. So going back and seeing uh, Obi-Wan and seeing Anakin and Obi-Wan interacting, especially in episode 5 where you see Anakin in his normal self, still a Padawan, Obi-Wan still with his like freaking mullet, fighting all that stuff. I thought that was great. I also felt that battle, man, between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi, oh my God, that was
Yeah.
such a good battle. And the climax of that battle, when you see Anakin, because Darth Vader's face was kind of sliced off in the sense of like his helmet. You
Yeah.
see Anakin, and you see Obi Wan. Like Ewan McGregor did such a good job. His eyes were watering when he was apologizing to Anakin for all of it. I I was, like I was on the verge of crying too. It was a very emotional moment, and not for nothing, Hayden Christensen did not come out as much as I wanted him to, and that's one of the cons that I do have. I think we should have seen more of Hayden Christensen doing more past events, but seeing his acting then when he is saying that Obi, like you're like he said, I am not your failure, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. So like in that little moment, I don't know if you noticed, but there is light in his
Yeah, the blue
face.
light.
And
Yeah.
there's
It's just kind of showing it kind of ebbing and
oh
flowing
my
back
god,
between. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it's so freaking good. So you see it hit like the light is signifying his conflict. Very
Yeah.
poetic, right? So like there's a moment where he's saying like, listen, don't take responsibility for Anakin Skywalker. This was my own doing. And you see the blue light coming in, but then when he says, I killed him, and says the same way that I'm going to destroy you, that his whole face becomes red.
Yeah.
It's like, and you can see it in his eyes too, right? That whole scene, I was reading a review and it said something to the effect that basically fulfills everything that I've been waiting for in the series. It's like regardless of how shitty or how good the other things were in Obi-Wan, this was the thing that I was waiting for. And he's absolutely right. That is exactly the thing that I've been waiting for. Whether the conversation could have been extended, I don't know. Sometimes I think that maybe, but other times I think enough was said with their faces,
Yeah.
just
I
their
there's
faces.
like even when like you're looking at again like when we were talking about character development for Obi-Wan and I was mentioning like how like he kind of grew his connection to the Force grew from not really being able to move. I forget what he was trying to move, but not really being able to do that, and then seeing the danger that those people were in and stuff like that. Like he was finding himself and stuff like that. So the more can be thrown. Not everything has to be said for effective storytelling, and like that.
Mhm.
That's I think they did a good job with the characters that they were presenting. I think they did a pretty good job with that. Even with you know Riva, which I'm not completely satisfied with her ending or the bits that she got, but I think they did an okay job with her with like why she was
Exactly.
her burning hatred for Darth Vader and her willingness to be up under him until she got the chance. I just don't like how they executed it. But that fucking fight between Riva and
And Darth
her,
Vader.
Darth Vader knows kung fu, bro. Bro, that is straight out of a 1970s kung fu
I
flick
know.
he upped her lightsaber, right? And then pushed her back. That is straight from a kung fu movie. That whole thing, that was just like it was showing you, and they were using Riva as kind of like a stand-in for this fight that Obi-Wan was going to have, right? Like you're thinking, can Obi-Wan actually do this? You know, he just demolished her, right? And like
Yeah, he just
he fucked her up.
yeah, no.
And like the idea of not killing her, a lot of people are upset. Like he just stabbed her through the heart or stabbed her and like left and stuff like that. But he wants her to suffer or whatever his thing is, whatever he's
So
trying to
like
do.
that's a minor plot hole in a way. Like you get stabbed, usually you die in Star Wars, uh, but she lived. I, so that for me that didn't bother me too much.
I mean,
Uh,
they set the precedent with the
I
Grand Inquisitor, though. Like they set
no,
that precedent of yeah,
so the him he survived because according to lore, he has two stomachs.
yeah.
So he got stabbed in one stomach, and that's why he can still survive. Mind you, like this has already been like literally like the fans when that didn't happen, a lot of people were like, "Oh, they broke canon," but other fans that knew, it's like he has two stomachs, he'll be fine. Literally, like they were like,
But
"Yeah,
see,
he'll be fine."
like you can't. But I think the other thing too is making assumptions before the series is over. So I can be like, "Yo, that might break canon," but I don't know what is going to happen in future episodes. And of course, he shows the fuck back up, right? I was like, I don't like even me not knowing the fact that he had two stomachs. Did I feel like he wasn't going to show back up because you didn't watch him die? You know,
Yeah.
like yeah, he got stabbed and he fell, and she just kind of
I know.
walked off.
Honestly, I had faith in the people that created it, understanding that Rebels is a part of canon, and if the
Yeah,
Grand Inquisitor comes out in Rebels, it he's not going
yeah.
anywhere. I will speak a little bit about canon in later on, but I do want to address that it was a 6 episode thing, and it was originally going to be a movie. So apparently, according to sources, it was originally going to be a movie, but they decided to make it episodic. But a lot of the script that was from the movie made it to the
Makes
series,
sense.
and you can see
Yeah.
it, right? The thing is that they had a lot of opportunity in that series. I know that we were, I know that we can't get everything that we want,
Mhm.
but use Hayden Christensen. He's developed a lot as an actor since his role in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Use him to have more past interactions between Obi-Wan and him. Things that like maybe had to do with his learning, with his anger issues, that we could have appreciated more
Yeah.
as it gets closer to the end in conflict. And I think they didn't use Christensen well, apart from episode 5, and then in episode 6. I also think they used him really well, although they should have used him even more for the scary moment when Obi-Wan thinks that he sees Anakin from far away. Remember that
Yeah.
scene?
Mhm.
That was a scary moment for
I think
Obi-Wan.
they probably should have had more of that,
Right.
honestly, because they like he was in his head, like he
He's
was just in his head.
yeah.
There was nothing. There was nothing Obi Wan could have did about that. Like he was, from what the impression that I got was that it like his failures or what he perceived as his failures were really haunting him. So
Mm-hmm.
it could have been to the point where like he was just seeing ghosts, across
Yeah,
Tatooine, and
exactly,
yeah, like
exactly, exactly. So I think that they should have done that. In regards to Riva, seeing her ending, so like a lot of people are upset that Riva for the wrong reasons. But for me, it's I would have preferred I would have preferred taking Riva out of the equation. If it meant that you only had a certain amount of time, I would have preferred taking Riva out of the equation, focusing on Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship. So that for me would have been the better outcome, because at the end of it, right? Like at the end of it, you saw it. Episode 6 was the battle between Obi-Wan
Hmm.
and Darth Vader. He came out as the real villain, the real antagonist of the story. Reva
Yeah.
was just a side character.
Hmm.
Um,
It was
and
it was like a bait and switch type thing, right? Like, hey, this person is out after them, whatever, whatever, and it just kind of it switches, to Darth Vader being that main antagonist, a mountain that both Riva and Obi-Wan had to overcome,
mm,
which, in her defeat, she learns to pass through it, and through Obi-Wan over his victory over Darth Vader. So I
I get why she, like, a lot of people are like, I don't understand why she went for Luke Skywalker and all that stuff. But listen, I get what she did it. Why she did it? Like, she wanted to get back at Darth. She knew that she couldn't defeat him. So
Mhm.
at the very least, let me take her kids away, regardless whether or not he knew. He knew that they existed. She's like, I'm on a revenge rampage. I don't.
Hurt people do things to hurt other people, or they can, you know what I mean? And so if she feels like this is her best opportunity to hurt him, then she's going to go do it.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the like she was smart in the kidnapping of Leia cuz she knew it was going to draw out Obi-Wan. Like she was good at playing the game of catching Jedi. Like
Yeah.
that's what her job was, and she was good at it. I get it. People are upset with the character just existing. Like apparently, new characters can't exist in the world if they're black. But
No, but see, that's the thing. That's the thing too. I think I think I understand in the sense that, like, we didn't want the focus to be on Riva at all. Like
I
we
think a
and
lot
I
of
we
those episodes are she's the foil for Obi-Wan in those first episodes to give some tension. You get what I'm saying? Like she's the foil for Obi-Wan. She's chasing down Leia. I think they're
I
trying
think
like if this was the beginning of like at the beginning of a movie, they're establishing that relationship, building that trust between Obi-Wan and Leia, and they're giving a reason for Leia to trust him, and all this different things. She's that I won't say she's an unstoppable force, but she definitely instills some fear for Leia. Like she becomes Leia's boogeyman
I I
throughout the beginning of the show.
I also would give props to, because she's not mentioned a lot, but I really liked her character, Tala.
Yeah,
Tala as the
yeah,
spy. I
yeah.
really liked her. I really liked her.
Like
I
her
really
way
thought.
better than her role as her role that she had in Game of Thrones.
Oh
Because oh
yeah,
my god, it was bad. I
yeah.
forget the
Well,
character's name. I don't even know the
no,
actress's name.
she acted evil, right? But in this one she was actually very caring, and I appreciated that. She really put in a lot of, like in her
Yeah,
face and her gestures, like you really knew that she really did care for taking care of Jedi and other people. So I
yeah.
really appreciated that from Tala. I think Tala wasn't used a lot, but she used
Indira
was
Varma is her name. She
so
played
she was
Tara.
used
Yeah.
enough to convey a feeling that when she died, I felt bad.
Yeah, I mean they put in the work. They put more work than the guy that died in the when they were flying away from the
they
yeah,
keep
like
they keep memeing him out. They keep memeing him.
it it's definitely like I really feel like when you start talking about what format that this took versus like TV show versus movie, and like what they could have did differently, because if they're going to do this like I now that it's finished, and like I can look back at like my whole thoughts on everything, if you're going to take the time to do a TV format, then take the time to do more, right? Do more. Like it feels like they took this and they kind of stretched it out. Some of it did feel like a little bit of filler. Then there were times where like when they met Roken, and Roken's like, "Yo, I'm not helping you." And at the end of the conversation, is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna help you." It's like, where did this 180 come from? Like you were completely
I
dead set on not helping, and
no, but
then
he did change his mind, and I get that.
he changed his mind in 5 minutes.
I don't know. I didn't feel I felt that Roken was a man that at the immediate response he's like, no, I'm not gonna help you, but at like he'll take a minute and then I'll like let me help you. That's
Yeah,
the type
like I
of
feel
Roken.
like there should have been a little bit more in between that
Yeah.
to win him over. You know what I mean? Like, hey, maybe during a threat, something.
So
It
like
just felt weird.
uh,
It felt rushed. There are
so
parts of
like
it that feel rushed.
so I am what I'm doing now is rewatching the series again
Hmm.
because it's like a movie, right? I'm just watching a movie, and then like I in the format, if it was done in a movie, it would have been a lot better in the
Yeah,
format.
it's just
It's a
there are
longer movie.
things that I wish we could have saw a little bit more of. Like maybe a little bit more time spent in the city in the very first episode, or just a little bit more of
No,
some
absolutely.
things.
Yeah,
Um,
for me, it was Hayden
but
Christensen.
yeah,
Yeah,
even
like
that, like if like so, the old form, and you remember mini series, like Roots and Shogun, and like they used to be made for TV typically,
and
but
they
they'd
were
be
long
these real,
episodes.
they'd be really these like it'd be like 5 to 6 episodes, but each one would be like an hour 20
Yeah.
minutes long, and like you got like this really long story that was like complete and whole and everything like that, and everything felt like it fit
Mm-hmm.
together and everything. That's what they should have did. Like
Yes.
these episodes should have been kind of maybe, but like that I think that's the thing too, is like they originally built this for a movie and they stretched it out to 6 episodes, and that's why it
Yeah.
feels this way. So again,
Right.
like I try and reserve judgment for like as a whole, like pacing stuff like that, uh when something's done, because like was it able to hit like all the points that it brought out at the beginning? I feel like it was like
Mm-hmm.
all the characters got resolution. Whether you like the character or not, they still got some. They completed their arcs. Like very few things were left out. You know, Leia and like her personality that we see in episode 4 is kind of established here. Like she's
Yeah.
very formal, but like she'll pull out a blaster and shoot something. Like
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying? Like this is established here. Like things make sense by the time it's all said and done.
Exactly. A lot. I don't think it broke canon, and that's a good conversation to start the
Yeah,
canon issue. I don't think it broke canon. I actually think it helped a lot in understanding what happened in between episode 3 and episode 4,
yeah.
especially with if you notice something, Darth Vader in episode 4, 5, and 6 is obsessed with Obi-Wan. Any
Oh yeah,
chance that he gets, he mentions Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan has taught you well. It's like Obi-Wan once thought like you did. Obi-Wan kept your sister from me. Now his failure is complete. And you're like, man, you're really on it with Obi-Wan. And I get it. Like the fight, right? The ending fight of Revenge of the Sith didn't feel really conclusive to me. It's like
hmm
it felt like there was a lot more dialogue between Anakin and Obi-Wan for when episode 4 comes along. It's like, oh, your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough or whatever, and telling him the story about Darth Vader, like a young pupil of mine. Uh, Darth Vader killed and destroyed the Jedi. He betrayed and murdered your father. Now that makes a lot more sense
yeah,
because of the conversation that happened in episode 6 of Obi-Wan.
yeah.
Man, it was the lines. There were
They
like five.
weaved a lot together.
Yeah, there were like 5 lines between the whole conversation. They between that like that ending conversation, 5 lines. I have seen that. I have seen that clip over like probably 20 times already. That's no. I've always been a fan of Darth Vader's arc. I've always been a fan. I always loved the fact that he was a good guy turned evil, redeemed by his son,
Hmm.
and still being the chosen one because he did bring balance to the force. Say that was the president. At that time, when he came out, the Jedi were the ones that
Hmm.
were
Yeah.
completely dominating. So there was an imbalance. Goes on, becomes evil. There is still an imbalance because the Emperor is still alive. He kills the Emperor and kills himself in the process, brings balance to the Force.
Yeah. Yeah. It's man. It's like it was really good, right? Like watching it, feeling the emotional impact of like even the strikes, like watching Obi-Wan, who's usually on like this defensive,
Did you
takes
see
these
God
defensive
mode?
steps.
Did you see God mode? When that's how they're calling it when Obi-Wan turns God mode. Like
Oh, where he lifts the rocks and everything. Like you're watching, and again, you're watching him like I don't know, like like where Luke like disconnected himself from the Force. There's a few other Jedi, like the I forget her name, in Jedi Falling Order, where she cut herself off from the Force as well.
Mhm.
But like, I'm not sure Obi-Wan did that or not. But
You
like, you're
talking about
watching
Kreia?
his, yeah, yeah.
Kreia cut herself from the Force.
So
So Luke
like,
Luke cut himself from his Force too, and that's
yeah.
why I wasn't surprised that Obi-Wan did it too. He felt
So like, you're watching his connection grow throughout the show, right? Especially when like people are in danger, you're watching his connection to the Force grow, and it's just like it's like really impressive. Then it all culminates at the end where like Vader's pushed him down into like Vader split the earth open, put him in there, and then buried him.
buried him with his guilt. That's the thing. Like that's metaphorically speaking, he
Yeah,
buried him with his guilt, and that's why when he's holding on to dear life, trying not to prevent the rocks from like crushing him completely, it is his guilt that is trying to crush him. Because you can
yeah,
hear Anakin's voice.
yeah,
You have failed. You were the one that turned me this way. All that stuff, and then he starts thinking about Luke and Leia, then he's like, "No, I'm doing this for them. Like, forget my
yeah.
guilt. I have another shot at this." And that's
Which
when he breaks away.
when he breaks and
Metaphorically, man.
he starts dominating that fight, right? And he
Yeah.
he he comes out and like he I don't know, like it's hard to like really for me to put this into words of like how much he dominated that fight. Like when he lifts up, all those rocks, he just
God
raises
mode.
his hands up and like all the rocks come up. It's like, man, not only did you do all that, but you knew where they all were. You raised them all up and you threw them all in at like the same spot. Like
Yeah.
he really meant
He
to like
had
he's
full
like, I'm going to
control.
dismantle you.
So
Like
so my understanding of the Force and what the see, like a lot of people go, I don't know if you see Star Wars Theory. He has a podcast and YouTube
every
too.
now and then I
So
watch
yeah,
him every
so
now and
like
then.
he goes into the books and he starts explaining like, oh, like he's half man, he's robot, and all that stuff. I don't think that the writers have as much knowledge as Star Wars Theory.
No.
I think that the writers did understand one thing, that if you don't immerse yourself either completely dark or completely light, you're not as powerful as you should be.
Mhm.
So when Obi-Wan was crushing it, like like against Darth Vader, is because he had completely immersed himself in the light. He found
Yeah.
that he found that the kids were the most important thing, and those kids were the ones that really brought him back into
Mm.
a full-fledged Jedi. Whereas Darth Vader lost because he wasn't immersed in the dark side like he
So
should have
even
been.
even seeing that side, there's another
But
man.
let me
I'm
finish.
really really
Let me
bad with
finish.
names.
Let me finish. Like so, that's why Darth Vader wasn't as powerful as he should have been, because he was conflicted even fighting Obi-Wan. It's
Yeah.
like you saw him, like the way that he acted in front of Obi-Wan when his face was showing. You
Hmm.
show that there was a lot of conflict, and even the Emperor said it. He like
Yeah.
that's the key.
Hmm.
That's the most important line. He said, "I like your feelings for your former master will make you weak. And now,
Yeah.
like, and that's when Darth Vader is like, I have no feelings. You are. I only serve you, my master. Right. So
Yeah.
at that moment, he is like, I am completely. I'm gonna try my best to not follow Obi-Wan and immerse myself in the dark side. That's why in the A New Hope, and this is why I think that it didn't break canon at all. In A New Hope, he goes on and says, "The circle is not complete. When I left you, I was but a learner. Now I am the master." Because Darth Vader was always chasing after Obi-Wan. And because he was always chasing after Obi-Wan and he wanted complete and total victory, which is something
Yeah.
that Obi-Wan taught him in that flashback, he's like, now you came to me and I am completely immersed in the dark side. Now I can defeat you. I thought that was fantastic. I thought that that makes complete sense. That's why he's like, I am the master now.
Yeah.
Only a master of evil, Darth. But yeah.
Nah, like I again, like, I'm not like the super fan, right? Like, again, I am as casual as you can get with this. I watch all of it that comes out, but I'm not diving deep into theories and stuff like that.
No, and
So
I
as
don't
a
too, but I do try to see it from the writer's
yeah,
perspective.
I'm just saying as a casual, as a casual viewer,
Yeah,
someone that has knowledge of Star Wars, you know, has dived into it a little bit. Someone that has knowledge of Star Wars as a casual viewer, I enjoyed the hell out of this show.
yeah,
It was a good ride for me. Like, I
yeah,
enjoyed each of the episodes. And again, I tend to be the type of person where if I'm not enjoying something, I disengage with it. So like
yeah.
I'll stop watching. I'll stop watching, or like,
It's
I won't play a game
It's the
or
only
something.
show,
Yeah.
Chris, it's the only show that I've ever woken up early in the morning. Like, seriously, Wednesday comes up. It's Wednesday morning, 5 o'clock. I'm going to have my coffee and I'm going to like start watching the episode. It's the only show since I was a kid that I've done this. That's how much I really, really enjoy the show.
Yeah.
It's like it brought back feelings from the past. I'm like, wow, this is like a freaking road to nostalgia here. It's
No,
so good.
it was really good, man. Kind of sad it's over, but I mean, you have the full thing now.
All right,
To
so
yeah.
question. There's rumors that we might see a season 2. What do you
I
feel about
mean,
that?
there's a lot of time there, right? So they did, and again, before when we first talked about this, is like I didn't feel like there needed to be an Obi-Wan show. Like, I want to see things out there happening.
I needed this.
I wanted
I
to see
needed
things out there
this.
happening, outside of, the people that we know, right? So
I think
they've done a great job
I
here.
think that I need a closure. I definitely need a closure on Darth Vader. Like, I think the
Yeah,
fact that Revenge of the Sith only showed like a minute of Darth Vader was so
yeah.
disappointing for me.
I feel like they definitely justified the existence of the show, right? So
Yes.
they're like, hey, this one was successful. What else can we do? We have this time frame, because like that really like when you look at the amount of time that this show took from like Leia getting kidnapped to her being back at home with her parents. How long did that actually take? You know what
Probably
I
like
mean?
3 or 4 days.
Yeah, so like they have a lot of story that they can tell. Freaking Obi-Wan is fine with Owen and Beru like watching Luke. He can have that adventure. There's all the stuff that happened in Rebels.
Hmm.
Like there are things that they can still show. There are other adventures that they could make happen and tie things together.
Just
With that
remember,
being said, I really hope that they put as much effort as they put into this, they put into other future titles, because we don't need another Book of Boba Fett.
no, we
Like
don't.
like I was really rooting for the Book of Boba Fett, like really hard. I was like,
Me too.
hey,
Me too.
like I was watching this and like I enjoyed the show, but it wasn't a high caliber show. It was more like I'm watching this now because characters I like are in it and they're
Hmm.
introduced. Like the moped gang. They definitely could have been like kept out of that show.
Yeah, the moped, the Power Rangers.
Yeah. Like, the chase scene felt bad, like, a lot of that show felt bad.
Yeah, it was
Just
bad.
from a VF, special effects to writing to just a lot
Yeah.
of the show felt bad. Even though I don't feel like a lot of people and Boba Fett to me grew as a character, other people feel like, hey, that's not Boba Fett. Cool, whatever. I whatever.
So
The show itself, though, we don't need more of that.
it's a redemption story. So like, it was a story about. It should have been a story about Boba finding redemption, because at the
Yeah,
heart of it, Star Wars is always about redemption. And no, you notice in
yeah,
any game that you see, in any like movie or TV show, it's always a story about redemption. So
yeah.
Boba
It's
Fett could have been done better, but it
it
was
could
a
have been done
story.
better. I if they do another one, I don't think they will because it wasn't well received. But if they do another one, I just hope they put a lot more effort into it. Like, the Mandalorian has like someone described it as like the monster of the week, where a lot of the episodes can be by themselves and you don't have to watch them in order, where you can still enjoy the show.
I
And I
think
think that works for that show. They need a laid out plan for other shows. Like Ahsoka's coming out. That show better be fucking good, right? Because that is a badass character. So, like, I just want the effort into making sure like this property, because again, this property's been around since the '70s, man. Like, there's a lot of
listen.
history.
One
Go
thing
ahead.
that they're doing wrong. That I mean, like let me put it to you straight. I think Obi-Wan was a fantastic show, and I'll give my final thoughts later on. I think Obi-Wan was a fantastic show, and I wrote you a text message saying that this show also shows me how much the latest trilogy doesn't fit with the
No,
overall arching story of Star
it
Wars,
doesn't.
because that shows how important Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, is to the whole storyline of that saga.
I mean, they
Okay?
started that out though, right? So like, even with him being dead, they started with Kylo Ren kind of worshiping Vader,
Listen,
right?
it
And
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't really show anything about that. Like, he worships Vader, so what? The
they
fact
don't they
it
don't build on it. You know what I mean? They had that
exactly.
there and they don't build on it at all.
Exactly. Like, the at the end of it, I know that what that trilogy was trying to do is say, like, you don't need to have your last name as Skywalker to be someone important. That's what they were trying to say. But at the end of, yeah, you're right. But that's what they're originally trying to do, right? Originally, I know they have a lot to say. Originally trying to do. At the end of it, it was the wrong series to do it, because at the end of it, Anakin Skywalker was still the main character, or at least the principal character, throughout the whole 6 episodes. And then this one, for some reason, completely decided to nix
They
everything
could have
and start.
still had they could have still had, ties to Darth Vader slash Anakin Skywalker with Kylo Ren, right? If they would have went in the direction that looked like it was going at the end of the last it's not the last Jedi, it's the last Jedi. Yeah, at the
Yeah.
end of the last Jedi. So here's my problem, right? Okay. So
No, I don't think even the Last Jedi did a good job. But like,
I don't
remember
I
when?
don't I don't. But hold on, let me finish.
Remember when like the Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber was destroyed? It's like it's so I my impression of that, the whole message of the Last Jedi is like, you have to let the past die.
Let the past die. Yes.
Exactly. That was so. Like, again, I get where you're coming from. You're like, forget about the other Star Wars. I'm like, no, like, don't mess with Luke Skywalker. If you're gonna actually let the past die, don't mess with Luke Skywalker. Don't mess
A
with
lot
the
of people
story.
like, okay, so that's not really the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is Ray. Ray winds up being another major player. Ray winds up being a Palpatine. What I was hoping for was Ray truly to be nothing, to be born of nothing. Here's why. Here's
I
why.
get what you're
Hold on, let
saying,
me
but
finish. Let me
it was
finish. Let me finish. Let me
I get
finish,
what.
man.
All right, all
Let
right,
me
all right.
finish. The reason why, because Anakin was nothing, right? Anakin came from nowhere. He was nothing. He was a slave. So Ray coming from nothing, being nothing, mirrors that. It rhymes with that. It puts her in a different place and she goes a different path. You get what I'm saying? It means that power doesn't just come from families and who your families are, but power can rise out of anybody, and they can choose their own path of where they're going to go. It mirrors
I
his
know,
story,
I know that
and
you're trying to be poetic.
they fucking wasted that whole potential that they could have
I,
had with her.
Again, it was the wrong saga to do it. If they wanted to do that, they should have done it with a completely new saga with no ties with the Skywalker family. But they decided to use the Skywalker brand, make their own story, try to prove your point, then backtrack because they're realizing that there's a lot of pushback because they're using the wrong
I
people to
don't I
do it.
again like we're going to disagree on this. We're going to disagree on this. I just feel like my main point though is playing your shit, like playing your shit out, right? If you're going to do something,
Commit if
it
you're
doesn't
gonna
matter
commit.
if
Yeah,
you're going to do something, commit to it. Okay,
commit.
we're going to make a whole new trilogy on Star Wars. Whatever direction you're going to decide to do, write that whole thing out, write that whole plan out,
Yeah,
because
they
by
executed it too fast.
going left and right
I
over the
guess
course of three movies, and then having the clusterfuck of the Rise of Skywalker and how bad that movie. I own that movie. I'm never going to watch it again. I own it though. I'm never going to watch that movie again. It's so bad, like
it
because
is.
it's
It is so
admitting
bad.
that they did not know what they were doing. It's a movie. It is a letter written out to fans saying, "Hey, we're sorry. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing."
They
That's
shouldn't
that.
not. They shouldn't have done
Whether
anything. They should have really thought about like I didn't care if they lasted 4 years, but 2 years after, like they really didn't think it through. They
nothing.
really didn't think it through.
Like you think about when episode one dropped. Episode one dropped in what, 2000? I want to say 2000, 2001.
In
And
1999,
okay, so there you go. So 99, and the series concluded in 2005. Those that trilogy concluded in 2005.
6 years.
7.
So, but also George Lucas had a plan. So he wrote the
Exactly.
story before it actually was
Exactly.
executed. So
And
like
like I do feel like
for as much flack that George Lucas got from the movies, you can see it from the beginning to end, and that you knew that like that there was a story that was conceived by him, and his vision became real.
this is the same thing Game of Thrones suffered of in the last few seasons. You can tell when they ran out of material to base the show on. You can mark this season on, like I haven't like the last season ruined things so much for me. I haven't gone back to watch like any of it. Uh but you can tell there's a stark difference between stark there's a stark difference between uh when they have the material to cover everything and to do the show and base things off of, to when they're now flying solo and they're just running off of cliff notes from George R. R. Martin. And it's the same thing here. Like you, even though episodes 1 through 3 weren't greatly received, right? Like, hey, this
Yeah, you're
is
right.
this doesn't feel like Star Wars or whatever. You going back and looking at it, you're like, yeah, this isn't bad. Like this
Yeah,
he knows where he's going to go. He knows where people are going to end up. Like we know where they're going to end up
right.
because episodes 4, 5, and 6. But like this story is there. We had that idea. Now you're looking at a billion-dollar company can't get their shit together and they can't hire competent people to flesh this whole thing out. Like y'all have all the money in the world. Star Wars is a literal money printing machine,
Yeah,
and y'all couldn't get that together. They're doing better now, and I feel like they're kind of hesitant to do movies, and they're trying to build their reputation back up through TV shows.
right.
I feel
So
like they're trying to build that base back up with TV shows, and then okay, now we're gonna do a movie. Whatever movie they do next, I'm still gonna see. I just hope it's good. That's where I'm at.
so going back to what I was saying, that like looking at Obi-Wan, made me realize that how shitty the new trilogy is, and also started make me thinking that like you guys are focusing too much now on the past. It's like I know that you're trying to avoid the new trilogy, but if that those movies are there to stay, you need some course correction,
They're not
right?
gonna. They're not gonna. I don't feel like they're going like something that was that much money was spent on it. I don't think they're gonna like make it not canon, right? It's
No,
easy
so
to make a bunch of books not canon. It's really hard to be like all
ex-
this money that we spent on. Yeah,
exactly. So now, like my thing is, I know that you're focusing a lot between episode 6 and 7, and you're focusing on now also a lot in between episodes 3 and 4. But you need to fix the story in the trilogy, and you do it by doing shows, right? So it, going more in depth in characters. It's like
mhm.
Ray, for example. Like, do a show about Ray when she's creating the Jedi Temple. That like that would help
Yeah.
out.
I
That would,
wouldn't. I wouldn't be afraid to use those characters again. You're right. Like I would go back and build stories that kind of redeem these because these characters aren't seen in a good light. I would go
yeah,
back and try and redeem them in
yeah.
some
And
way.
unfortunately, I think they lost Oscar Isaac and John Boyega. They were like,
Yeah,
I,
John Boyega is never ever doing
uh,
anything with Disney ever again.
yeah,
Like they completely lost him. Yeah,
yeah, like,
yeah,
and Oscar Isaac is like, unless if I want to buy three more houses, then I'll do another Star Wars movie. I mean, like Oscar Isaac doesn't need the money. Like he is on demand, right?
yeah.
Uh, so like the only person that's not on demand right now is Ray. You don't see her a
Has she
lot.
has she really has she tried to be in anything?
And I don't haven't seen her in a lot of things. I know that she came out in like a movie, a low budget movie with Tom Holland, and then I think something about like the train. I forgot what it was. But apart from that, she hasn't come out in a lot of things. If she is your best bet to do something with the series, and if we can include Luke Skywalker helping her,
Well,
uh,
she's she's been in a lot of stuff since the Rise of Skywalker has come out,
but
but
nothing big.
nothing's been big.
Nothing's been big.
Yeah,
Exactly. So like if the way that they would redeem it for the fans and the new fans, if there are any new fans for those, is by having her create the Jedi Temple, and also having Luke Skywalker added in there as a closure for the fans, because they want to see closure on Luke Skywalker helping her, guiding her to build the temple as a Force ghost. I
yeah,
mean, that would definitely help the fans cope with the fuck happened in in the last trilogy.
yeah.
It's not gonna fix everything. It's not.
No,
It will never fix it. But after that, I will feel comfortable and close the loop on that. Done. Start a
yeah.
new.
I
Start
agree.
something new.
Like just like because her character's there, it exists. I wouldn't shy away from her. I would try and build that character up. Uh, and again with a plan, trying to you know redeem the whole shit show that a trilogy was.
Yeah, yeah.
uh
If they can if they can make it compelling and like show recurring characters, maybe Baby Grogu is also there too. Like that would definitely help gain traction and say, okay, we can close this and have a nice epilogue of the whole Star Wars saga with that show. It's like showing like the end, like showing the future, like Jedi or coming out again and all that stuff. And Ray looking back and saying like, "We did it,"
yeah.
and close it.
So
And then
speaking of Force Ghosts, right? How'd you feel about Qui-Gon showing up at the very end?
I fucking loved it. He's been calling Qui Gon since the very beginning,
Yeah,
right? And I always wondered. I think this is a good point to teach. Like, if there's gonna be a second season, it's a good point to show Qui-Gon's teachings of how to become a Force Ghost. Like that would be a good, like, not the whole story, but that would be a good segment of it.
Did they? I'm pretty sure that someone's addressed it, but how the hell did Anakin pull that off? Like, how did Anakin become a Force Ghost?
So the impression is from George Lucas is that Anakin is powerful enough to get to that point. So like
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, that makes
he
sense.
is he is if he wasn't a half machine, he would have been twice as powerful as the Emperor. Right? I'm like thinking about the trackers in the freaking like
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z. Over 9,000. Like exactly, it would be something to that effect. So like Anakin is powerful enough to become a Force Ghost.
Okay, it makes sense. Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
so like he didn't need like that much training for it. I mean, Anakin, he didn't need training at all. Like he is extremely powerful. The thing that he needed training on was in his emotions. He couldn't control
Yeah,
his emotions, and that's what got the better of him.
yeah, yeah. I think I seen Star Wars theory talk about how Qui Gon was the best teacher for him, and then once Qui Gon died, he's kind of not doomed, but he's set to fail because
Yeah,
Obi Wan wasn't really prepared to teach
yeah, I
him.
saw that. I
Yeah.
saw that. Then again, Star Wars series, he's Qui Gon Jinn is his favorite Jedi.
Oh, it
My
is.
understanding,
Yeah,
yeah. So like he
makes
like
sense.
apparently he flipped. Star Wars theory is kind of funny. He's very emotional. He starts crying when he sees like little things like Qui Gon Jinn. I'm sure he shed a couple of tears on it.
Yo, again, like even that point, he was like, I forget exactly what he said, but basically, you weren't ready to see me.
Yeah,
Like he grew. Like the whole thing was just like this arc of growing and coming to
yeah.
terms with everything and moving past it. And it's just, man,
Rejoining with the Force. Remember, like he wasn't ready to see him because he wasn't fully immersed
yeah,
in the light side of the Force.
yeah,
So when he was immersed, he finally was immersed and he felt at peace with himself. That's when he was able to see Qui. It's a
yeah,
very poetic show. It is a very poetic show. And that's why Darth Vader also wasn't as powerful as he could have been because he wasn't fully immersed in the dark
yeah.
side.
So with that,
Final
uh,
thoughts.
yeah, let's move to our final thoughts, man.
All right.
Where you at?
So my final thoughts on Star Wars Obi-Wan. It was overall a good show that really helped me close the loop between episode 3 and 4. I appreciated the acting between Ewan McGregor and even Hayden Christensen with like just the slide of his head, and when he came out, thought that was very good. I think Riva did a pretty good job too. Tala, overall great acting. Overall, the storyline could have been better only because there are certain things that the story focus on too much that really needed focusing, or that didn't have enough time to explain it because the episodes were too short. And that's one thing that dragged it down. But by the end of it, like seeing the episodes back to back, I feel that I I enjoyed it so much, and I found it such a good show overall. My biggest pet peeve in all of this was that it did not have the Star Wars music that we're used to. They
Uh,
used they use a I don't know who this person is, this composer is, but they had a lot of opportunities to use good music from the original trilogy, from the original saga, and they didn't. And they missed a lot of opportunities on that. And some of them sounded very electronic.
mhm.
It's like it was like the piano. I don't know if you saw Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where like he's playing the piano, like showing like deeps. So like anyway, it felt like it was a piano like they were that was
A keyboard,
changing a
yeah, like a
keyboard.
synth, yeah,
So like exactly, that's how it felt sometimes, and it's Star Wars, so like I expect great music from Star Wars, even if it doesn't have to be John Williams. I thought the person that did Rogue One was an excellent composer that did a fantastic job. They decided to put Darth Vader's music or the Imperial March at the end of it. Come on, the Force song at the end of it. It's like you had all this opportunity to show to really bring out like the
yeah,
good music, because Star Wars and its music are intertwined with each other. The film you see and the music that you play in the background are nested together. So
mhm,
like seeing one thing and not listening to the music, it's like there's something missing. But
yeah,
testament to the show that regardless of that, I was still very happy with the outcome. Testament to the show. But
okay.
lesson learned: get a better composer. Start using some Star Wars references, or make your own, but make it high quality, guys. Don't fucking use a synthesizer. Anyway, final thoughts.
For me, uh, great show. I liked it from beginning to end. Uh, I love the addition of Riva. The only parts that bothered me about her was the parkouring through the city because that was definitely not needed, and it looked cheap. It didn't look good. Uh,
Marco.
yeah, I think she was a very intimidating character to those that she was hunting down. Like the emotional trauma that she was giving to Leia when she was doing the interrogation scene to me was really good because it showed how much she wanted to get what she was after. Uh, like Obi-Wan Ewan McGregor did an awesome job. The acting, like everything was on point. That
Oh my
last
god,
fight,
yeah, Ian McGregor. Oh my goodness,
that
yeah.
last fight was poetry in motion for me.
Oh yeah,
Like everything, all like again when I say like they're telling storytelling through their actions and everything, you see this story unfolding and like the desperation and like how Vader's falling back and Obi was taking a stronger ground and he's flipping it. He flipped his freaking lightsaber around and beat his breathing mechanism up.
oh I
Like
know.
this he's not from like what I could gather with that was like he wasn't even going for the kill. He was just trying to like disable him, right?
Yeah,
So there's still this level of like I care for you. I don't want to hurt you, but I have to stop you. Right. And there's all this going on. Even, kind of like at the end where you're seeing like Leia, she puts on the holster and, she's wearing the boots and she's developed into her own person. And you finally get to see like goofy looking Luke. All kids look goofy. I just want to throw that out there. You know,
yeah,
all kids look goofy. You finally get to see like a close up of Luke. Even Owen Baru, they impressed me, right, with stopping
right.
Riva. Like the tactics that they
Yeah,
used and all this, like the fight that they put up
it
was
showed
was
that
just
level of depth that was needed, because they didn't
yeah,
talk a lot about Owen Beru in the
yeah.
New Hope.
So like again, like I think they added a lot in places where there wasn't. Like I said before, this isn't a show that I necessarily thought even needed to exist. I'm glad it does.
Yeah,
It's just it was really good. I think it was really well put together. There were some slow parts, but in the end, I think the pacing was good. Like yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, and we just spoiled everything for you, yeah, you should still go watch
yeah. And with
it.
that, now with that,
With that, we're done. All right. So thank y'all for listening. We're
thank
on
you
all the
guys.
major platforms now. So we're even on Apple Podcast. Excuse me. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you decide you want to listen. We're there. If you have a comment, leave it on a YouTube video. You can message us, there, and we'll reply to you. With that, I'm out. It's been fun. See y'all later.
Take care, guys.